The sun crested the jagged peaks of the Beartooth Mountains, casting a golden haze over the sprawling Harlan Ranch in southern Montana. Jack Harlan urged his horse forward, the rhythmic thud of hooves against the frost-kissed prairie echoing his solitary routine. At 38, Jack embodied the archetype of the weathered cowboy. Tall and broad-shouldered, with sun-leathered skin and hands calloused from years of wrangling cattle and mending fences. His ranch, a generational legacy passed down from his grandfather, stretched across thousands of acres near the bustling yet quaint town of Billings. Here, amid the endless grasslands dotted with grazing herds and the distant rumble of the Yellowstone River, Jack found refuge in labor, a bulwark against the voids that haunted him. 5 years had eroded the vibrancy from his life since Anna's death. She had been his anchor, a spirited woman with laughter that could chase away the fiercest storms. Their marriage, forged in the fires of young passion during a Billings rodeo, had promised eternity, until a relentless illness claimed her, leaving Jack adrift in grief's merciless currents. He recalled that final autumn vividly, the sterile hospital room in Billings, Anna's frail hand in his, her whispered assurances that love would endure beyond her. But endurance felt like betrayal now. Jack had vowed then, under the sterile fluorescent lights, to seal his heart against such fragility. Love, he convinced himself, was a mirage in the desert of existence, shimmering briefly before evaporating into pain. Mornings like this amplified his isolation. As he dismounted near a weathered fence line, Jack scanned the horizon where the prairies met the sky, a vast canvas of indifference. The ranch demanded ceaseless vigilance, cattle to herd, irrigation systems to repair amid persistent droughts that plagued the American West. Yet, these tasks served as distractions, numbing the ache that surfaced in quieter moments. His hired hands, a loyal crew of locals, respected his taciturn demeanor, attributing it to the burdens of ranch ownership. But whispers in the bunkhouse revealed their concern. Jack Harlan, once the heart of community gatherings, now shunned invitations to barbecues or dances, preferring the company of stars and silence. That evening, as twilight draped the ranch in indigo shadows, Jack retreated to the old porch swing overlooking the river. The water's murmur evoked memories of picnics with Anna, where they dream of children and expansions to the ranch. He sipped black coffee from a chipped mug, the bitterness mirroring his soul's residue. An old friend, Tom Reeves, had stopped by earlier, his pickup truck kicking up dust on the gravel drive. Tom, a fellow rancher with a family of his own, had broached the subject delicately. "Jack, it's been years. Anna wouldn't want you fossilizing out here alone. There's life beyond the fence posts." Jack's response was curt, a deflection honed by practice. "Some fences are meant to stay up, Tom. Keeps the wolves out." The exchange lingered, stirring unrest. Tom's words challenged the fortress Jack had built, hinting at moral imperatives of resilience that clashed with his self-imposed exile. The drought's toll compounded his turmoil. Water levels in the river dipped alarmingly, threatening the herd's survival and the ranch's solvency. Jack pored over ledgers in his dimly lit study, numbers blurring under the weight of worry. Bankruptcy loomed like a thunderhead, forcing him to consider unpalatable options, selling parcels of land or seeking loans from Billings banks indifferent to sentimental legacies. These pressures eroded his stoicism, revealing fissures where doubt seeped in, not just about the ranch, but about his capacity to rebuild anything meaningful. Relief came unexpectedly at the annual Billings Rodeo Festival, a vibrant spectacle that drew folks from across Montana. The air buzzed with the scent of barbecue and hay, laughter mingling with the announcer's drawl over bucking broncos. Jack attended reluctantly, compelled by a need to network with suppliers amid the crisis. He navigated the crowds, his Stetson pulled low, avoiding eye contact that might invite conversation. At the veterinary tent, where injured animals received care, he spotted her, Sarah Ellis, a newcomer to Billings with a confident poise that cut through the chaos. Sarah, in her mid-30s, exuded urban polish, tempered by rural adaptability. Her auburn hair framed a face marked by determination, green eyes sharp behind practical glasses. Relocating from Seattle after a shattered engagement, she sought solace in the wide-open spaces, establishing a mobile vet practice, serving ranches like Jack's. As she bandaged a horse's leg with deft precision, Jack approached, his voice gruff. "That Appaloosa mine? Twisted an ankle in the corral." Sarah looked up, her smile warm yet professional. "Looks like a sprain. Nothing rest won't fix. I'm Sarah Ellis, new in town." Their exchange was brief, details on treatment, a nod to the drought's impact, but her empathy lingered. "Ranching's tough these days. Takes heart to keep going." Jack muttered agreement, but her words pierced his armor, evoking an unwelcome spark. As the festival lights twinkled against the encroaching night, Jack wandered the grounds, the encounter replaying in his mind. Sarah's presence unsettled him, a reminder of vulnerabilities he'd buried. He watched families and couples under the Ferris wheel, their joy a stark contrast to his solitude. Driving back to the ranch under a canopy of stars, Jack gripped the wheel tighter. The conflict brewed within, a flicker of curiosity warring with entrenched doubt. Could he afford to glimpse beyond his shadows? The ranch house loomed dark and empty, but for the first time in years, the silence felt oppressive rather than comforting. Sleep eluded him that night, the river's whisper now a taunt, urging him toward uncharted territories of the heart. Midsummer descended upon the Harlan ranch like a relentless forge, the sun scorching the prairies into waves of shimmering heat. Jack Harlan wiped sweat from his brow as he navigated his pickup truck along the dusty roads toward Billings, the air thick with the scent of parched earth and blooming sagebrush. The Yellowstone River, now a sluggish ribbon bordered by cracked banks, offered scant relief during outings that once invigorated him. In town, the farmers' market buzzed with the essence of Western American life. Vendors hawking fresh produce under striped awnings, locals bartering over handmade saddles, and children darting through crowds with ice cream cones melting in the blaze. This community hub, rooted in self-reliance and neighborly bonds, pulsed with gossip about newcomers, whispers that inevitably circled back to Sarah Ellis, the city vet stirring curiosity with her innovative approaches. Financial shadows loomed larger than the mountains, gnawing at Jack's resolve. Cattle prices plummeted amid regional oversupply, forcing him into tense negotiations at the Billings Bank. Seated across from a stern loan officer in a sterile office, Jack argued his case with gritted teeth, spreadsheets evidencing years of meticulous stewardship. "This ranch has weathered worse," he asserted, though doubt crept into his voice like invasive weeds. The officer's skeptical gaze mirrored Jack's internal erosion. Repayments lagged, and foreclosure whispers echoed in his nightmares. Solitary rides across the ranch amplified these woes, his horse's steady gait a counterpoint to turbulent thoughts. Memories of Anna surfaced unbidden, her strategic mind that had balanced their books during lean times, intensifying his isolation. Yet, Sarah's visits disrupted this cycle. Called to treat a lame cow, she arrived in her rugged SUV, tools in hand, her presence a jolt amid the monotony. Jack's initial gruffness, "Just fix it and go," yielded to reluctant admiration as she worked with quiet efficiency, her explanations laced with compassion for the animal's plight. Each encounter chipped at his barriers, her kindness evoking a warmth he feared, suspending him between resistance and an emerging vulnerability. Their interactions deepened amid the calving season's demands. A sudden storm rolled in from the Rockies, thunder cracking like gunfire as rain pelted the barns. Jack labored through the night, assisting births under flickering lanterns, his muscles aching from the frenzy. Sarah appeared unannounced, drenched but determined, her expertise turning chaos into order. Together, they pulled a struggling calf free, her steady hands complementing his strength in a seamless rhythm. By the bonfire later, as flames danced against the clearing sky, they shared stories, hers of Seattle's frenetic pace, and a broken engagement that drove her eastward, his guarded tales of ranch triumphs omitting the personal toll. Romantic tension simmered during a shared horseback ride along the river trail, the sunset painting the landscape in fiery hues. Sarah's laughter at a startled deer lightened the air, but when she probed gently about his solitude, Jack recoiled. "Some wounds don't heal for a reason," he muttered, spurring his horse ahead, the moral quandary of deserving joy clashing with his ingrained caution. Her persistence highlighted his internal strife. Was happiness a betrayal or a redemption? External pressures mounted with the arrival of Harlan's rival, Vance Colton, a shrewd operator from a neighboring spread eyeing expansion. Vance cornered Jack at the market, his smile predatory beneath a wide-brimmed hat. "Heard you're struggling, Harlan. I'd take that eastern pasture off your hands, fair price." The offer rankled, underscoring the ranch's fragility and Jack's pride. Sarah's urban roots sparked further clashes. During a visit, she suggested drone surveillance for herd management, a modern gadgetry that Jack dismissed as fancy crutches for real work. Their debate escalated in the barn, her advocacy for efficiency clashing with his traditionalism. "Change isn't the enemy, Jack," she pressed, her eyes fervent. He countered sharply. "Neither's remembering what matters," exposing fears of losing Anna's legacy amid innovation. The argument hung unresolved, her departure leaving him pacing the porch, the wilderness's vastness amplifying his turmoil. As stars emerged, Jack pondered the sparks igniting within, attraction warring with dread, hinting at storms yet to come, where choices would forge or fracture his guarded world. Autumn's fury unleashed upon the Harlan Ranch with a vengeance, a ferocious thunderstorm barreling down from the Rockies like an avenging force. Lightning fractured the slate-gray sky, illuminating the flooded prairies, where the Yellowstone River swelled beyond its banks, devouring fences and scattering debris across the sodden landscape. Jack Harlan battled the deluge from his pickup, windshield wipers slashing futilely against sheets of rain, his mind a mirror to the chaos outside. The storm symbolized his burgeoning inner turmoil, winds howling accusations of vulnerability he could no longer ignore. In Billings, the community rallied at the town hall, a sturdy brick edifice glowing with emergency lights, where ranchers exchanged grim tales of losses, embodying the unyielding endurance that defined the American West. Neighbors hauled sandbags and shared generators, their camaraderie a testament to collective resilience amid nature's onslaught. Yet Jack arrived late, his solitude a self-inflicted barrier even in crisis. His doubt crested like the river's waves during the height of the tempest. Venturing alone into the flooded pastures, Jack spotted a stranded calf, its plaintive bleats piercing the roar. He waded through knee-deep muck, rope in hand, muscles straining against the current that threatened to sweep him under. This solitary rescue echoed his isolation, a metaphor for the burdens he shouldered without aid, fueling introspection on his hardened heart. Flashbacks assaulted him mid-struggle. Anna's final days, her radiant smile fading in the hospital bed, her plea for him to embrace life anew. "Don't let grief steal your fire, Jack," she'd whispered, words now haunting him as he hauled the calf to safety. Moral quandary surged. Was rediscovering love's magic in homage to her memory, or a desecration? The risk of loss again loomed larger than the storm, paralyzing him with fear of renewed devastation. Exhausted on the riverbank, drenched and shivering, Jack confronted the erosion of his vows, the sparks with Sarah igniting embers he dreaded fanning into flame. Sarah's arrival shattered his reverie, her SUV skidding to a halt amid the downpour. She dashed out, rain plastering her hair, her voice cutting through the gale. "Jack, I heard about the flooding. Let me help." Together, they tended the calf in the barn, her veterinary skills stabilizing the animal while his raw strength secured the enclosure. The proximity amplified tension, her touch on his arm during a shared moment of relief, sending jolts through his guarded frame. In the flickering lantern light, confessions spilled forth. "Anna's death broke me," Jack admitted hoarsely, voice cracking like thunder. "I swore off love to avoid that agony again." Sarah listened, her empathy a balm, deepening his understanding of her own fortitude. She revealed her shattered engagement in Seattle, a betrayal that mirrored his loss, forging emotional symmetry. "I ran here to heal, Jack. Maybe we're both searching for that true magic." Her vulnerability pierced him, suspending them in a charged silence, the storm's rhythm underscoring the heartbeat of potential connection. Climactic confrontations erupted at the town hall gathering, where Vance Colton's jealousy boiled over like the overflowing river. Amid discussions of aid distribution, Vance sneered across the crowded room, his voice laced with venom. "Harlan's gone soft, leaning on that city vet. Weakness like that'll sink your spread faster than this flood." The accusation stung, amplifying Jack's internal conflict as murmurs rippled through the assembly. Sarah rose defensively, her retort sharp and unwavering. "Strength isn't hiding behind walls, Vance. It's facing the storm head-on." Her words ignited a spark, and in the ensuing chaos as rain hammered the roof, Jack pulled her outside into the torrent. Passion overtook caution. He cupped her face, their lips meeting in a fervent kiss, rain mingling with unspoken desires. Yet, doubt surged anew. Jack retreated abruptly, eyes shadowed with fear. "I can't betray what I had," he murmured, fleeing into the night, leaving Sarah stunned amid the puddles, her revelation of shared heartbreak hanging unresolved. As the storm abated, leaving a sodden dawn, Jack faced the ranch auction threat head-on, poring over foreclosure notices in his study. The bank's ultimatum loomed, a tangible manifestation of his vulnerabilities, compounded by Vance's maneuvers to undercut him. Alone under the clearing stars, he contemplated Sarah's words on second chances, the moral imperative of forgiveness teasing at his resolve. Uncertainty gripped him. Would embracing her unravel his world or weave it anew? The wilderness whispered possibilities, urging him toward dawn's uncertain light, where storms of the heart might finally yield to renewal. Spring unfurled its tender embrace over the Harlan Ranch, the prairies bursting with wildflowers and the Yellowstone River swelling with melted snow from the Beartooth Mountains. Jack Harlan stood on the porch, the morning air crisp against his weathered face, a faint breeze carrying the scent of renewal. At 38, his stoic frame bore new lines of hope, softened by the trials of winter storms. The ranch, once teetering on the brink, now hummed with life, cattle grazing contentedly, fences mended, and the hired hands laughing over breakfast in the bunkhouse. In Billings, the community had rallied, their support at the town hall, securing a loan extension from the bank, a lifeline that banished foreclosure's shadow. Jack's victory over Vance Colton, who had slunk away after the flood's revelations, marked a turning point. Yet the true triumph lay within, where doubt had yielded to a fragile faith in second chances. The resolution crystallized at Anna's gravesite, a quiet knoll overlooking the ranch. Jack knelt, placing a bouquet of daisies, her favorite, against the headstone, its inscription weathered but steadfast. Memories of her final plea echoed, "Don't let grief steal your fire." Tears traced paths down his cheeks, not of sorrow but release, as he whispered, "I'm letting go, Anna. For you, for us." This act of forgiveness dissolved the guilt that had shackled him, a moral epiphany that love's legacy could thrive through new bonds rather than fade in solitude. Rising, he felt lighter, the Montana sky vast and welcoming, urging him toward the future she had envisioned. That afternoon, Jack drove to Sarah Ellis's clinic in Billings, the town alive with spring festival preparations, banners fluttering, children weaving flower crowns. Sarah, her auburn hair catching the sunlight, tended a recovering foal, her green eyes bright with purpose. He lingered at the door, hat in hand, nerves knotting his stomach. "Sarah," he began, voice rough with emotion, "I was wrong to run. Your words about healing, they've stuck with me." She turned, surprise softening into warmth, and he continued, "I've lived in shadows too long. I want to try with you." Their dialogue unfolded like a dance, her response gentle yet firm. "Love's magic isn't a replacement, Jack. It's a continuation. I've waited for you to see that." He stepped closer, cupping her face, their kiss under the clinic's awning a tender seal on past wounds, the moral of resilience weaving through their shared vulnerability. The community embraced the shift, their moral support a tapestry of Western values. At the ranch, Jack mentored young Caleb, a new hand orphaned by recent floods, teaching him to mend fences with steady hands. "Loss carves us," Jack advised, "but it also shapes us to build anew." Caleb's eager nods reflected Jack's own journey, reinforcing the lesson that heartbreak strengthens love's potential when courage prevails. Sarah joined these lessons, her veterinary expertise aiding the herd, her laughter echoing across the fields. Together, they planned ranch improvements, sustainable irrigation inspired by her urban insights, blending tradition with innovation, a harmony that mirrored their evolving bond. The epilogue unfolded on a radiant May afternoon, the ranch transformed for a wedding beneath a canopy of oaks. Guests from Billings filled the yard, their cheers rising as Jack, in a crisp suit, and Sarah, radiant in white lace, exchanged vows. The ceremony blended rustic charm with cinematic grandeur. Wildflowers adorned the arch, a string quartet played against the mountain backdrop, and the river's murmur underscored their promises. Jack's voice trembled as he spoke. "You showed me love's true magic, Sarah, endurance through pain, joy in renewal." Her reply, eyes glistening, sealed their union. "And you taught me home is where the heart heals." The kiss that followed drew applause, a heart-touching climax to their saga. As the sun dipped, casting a golden glow, Jack and Sarah mounted horses, leading a procession toward the horizon. The guests waved, their silhouettes fading against the fiery sky, a tableau of hope etched in the Montana wilderness. The ride symbolized their journey, from doubt to devotion, each hoofbeat a testament to love's transformative power. Yet, the vastness ahead hinted at uncharted paths, perhaps children or further ranch dreams, inviting readers to imagine the chapters yet unwritten. Under the twilight's embrace, Jack glanced at Sarah, her smile a beacon, and felt the magic not as an end, but a beginning, stirring anticipation for the adventures their united hearts would conquer.